He thought their 7-year relationship was unbreakable, that nothing could come between them. But what started as a romantic dinner in a luxurious setting quickly turned into something that would shatter everything they had. How could he ever look at her the same way again after she smiled at him and calmly suggested destroying everything they had built together? He came to Las Vegas, hoping to rekindle their connection, but he left shattered, feeling empty and betrayed. Yet before he walked away for good, he left a lasting mark, a memory that would never fade. Not for her, not for him, and certainly not for anyone who witnessed it. They say that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But some choices have a way of clinging to you, changing everything they touch. A trip that was supposed to be a break from their routine, a chance to reconnect, turned into a nightmare. Virginia had been hinting at the idea of a Vegas getaway for months. And finally, one morning, she looked up from her laptop, her hazel eyes shining with excitement. "I just booked us a suite at the Venetian," she said with a grin. "It's going to be amazing, a real break, just the two of us." After 7 years of being together, he didn't hesitate, though things between them hadn't been perfect lately. He still believed in their bond. A weekend away seemed like the perfect chance to reignite what had faded between them. Las Vegas was everything he expected. A dazzling, chaotic city filled with neon lights, noise, and an undercurrent of risk and excitement. But by the second night, something in Virginia changed. They were sitting at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the Strip when she casually brought up something that made his stomach drop. "I heard about a swingers party," she said, swirling her martini glass. "It's supposed to be a thing for couples. Try new experiences. You know, it could help our relationship." He nearly choked on his dinner. What?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "A swingers party," she repeated almost matter-of-factly. "Couples go to explore, try new things. It's supposed to strengthen relationships." He stared at her, his pulse quickening. "By sleeping with other people?" She leaned in, her voice soft but insistent. "It's not like that. A lot of couples do it. It's just for one night." The anger in him flared as he set down his fork too hard. "Absolutely not," he said, his tone icy. Her expression shifted. "Why are you being so rigid? We've been in a rut for so long. Maybe this could be exactly what we need." He shook his head, frustration bubbling up. "Virginia, if you think that's the solution to our problems, then maybe we have bigger issues than I thought." She crossed her arms, her expression hardening. "It's not sleazy, it's freeing. You're being judgmental. And you're being reckless," he shot back, his words sharp as knives. "You think this is a way to fix things?" The argument continued back in their suite, both of them accusing each other. Him of being controlling, her destroying everything they had worked for. By the time he woke up the next morning, Virginia was gone. Her purse and her heels were missing, and his mind was racing with all the possibilities of where she could have gone. It wasn't until late afternoon that he finally received a text from her. Be back later. But later seemed endless. When she finally returned that evening, she walked in with an air of finality, her eyes avoiding his. He asked where she had been, but she didn't answer, instead offering a chilling statement. "I'm going to the party tonight." He stared at her in disbelief. "You're serious?" "I've made my decision," she said, her tone flat. He stood up, his voice now cold and controlled. "Virginia, if you walk out that door tonight, there's no coming back." She rolled her eyes in exasperation. "You're being dramatic. It's just one night." "No," he said firmly. "It's not just one night. It's a line you're about to cross, and you've already made your choice." Her face tightened in frustration. "Why does everything with you have to be a threat? Why can't you just trust me?" "Trust you?" He laughed bitterly. "You want me to trust you while you go sleep with strangers?" Her eyes widened. "That's not what this is about. It's about being open, trying something new. Tons of couples do it. It's healthy." "Healthy?" His voice was thick with disbelief. "How does breaking every promise we made make us stronger?" She folded her arms and met his gaze. "You're impossible. I'm trying to grow, to explore, and you're slamming the door shut." "Because this is insanity," he shouted. "You're not saving our marriage. You're burning it to the ground." She lowered her head, her voice cracking as she spoke. I need this, Marshall. I don't know how else to explain it. He paced the room, his anger and heartbreak colliding. You need this? I need a wife who doesn't confuse betrayal for self-discovery. This isn't who we are anymore. This isn't who I am. With a heavy sigh, she sat on the edge of the bed, her movements slow, as if the weight of her decision was finally sinking in. I'm leaving, she said quietly. I don't want to keep fighting. He stopped pacing and faced her, his chest tight with a mixture of disbelief and sorrow. So that's it? You just decided, just like that? She nodded, her expression resolute. Yes, I'm not changing my mind. As Virginia prepared for the party, humming softly as she got ready, he sat at the desk, staring at his phone, feeling a strange mix of numbness and anger. In the mirror's reflection, she looked beautiful, effortlessly stunning, applying makeup and curling her hair as if nothing was wrong. But in his mind, everything was broken. He quietly booked a flight home, scheduled to leave in just a few hours. His plan was simple: disappear before she returned from her night. When she came back, he would be gone, leaving only an empty room behind. And as he finalized his flight, he made one last decision. He canceled her return ticket. How she got home didn't matter to him anymore. What mattered was that the life they wanted was gone, and there was no turning back. I logged into our shared bank account, transferring every penny into my own. She wouldn't be able to waste another cent of what we'd built. Not on wild nights out in Vegas. Setting the phone down, I let out a sharp breath, feeling the weight of anger and grief settle heavily in my chest. Dusk had already fallen, casting a gray veil over the city. She finished dressing, the tight-fitting, glittering dress clinging to every curve, paired with heels that made her legs look endless. When she caught me watching, she tilted her head slightly. "What?" she asked, her brow furrowing a faint scowl. I stood up from the chair, shaking my head slowly. "Nothing," I muttered under my breath. She adjusted her earrings absently, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. "Are you sure you don't want to come with me, Marshall? Maybe it'll do us some good," she said, her voice trailing off. I let out a humorless laugh. "Good for us," I repeated, my voice sharp with disbelief. "Listen to yourself. Virginia," I snapped. "You're walking out that door knowing exactly what it means." "It doesn't have to mean anything," she shot back, folded her arms defensively. "You're the one turning this into some big drama." I stepped closer, my voice rising despite myself. "You honestly think throwing away a marriage means nothing? That being selfish and disrespectful is something I should just swallow?" I ground my teeth, my jaw clenched tight. "You walk out that door and it's over. No coming back." Leaning against the dresser, she sighed exasperatedly. "You're so damn rigid, Marshall. Everything's black or white with you. God, I wish you could just learn to live a little," she spat bitterly. Grabbing her purse, she headed for the door. With her hand on the knob, she glanced over her shoulder. "I'll be back late," she said, her tone sharp and defiant. "Don't bother waiting up." I didn't respond. The door clicked shut behind her with a finality that echoed in my mind. As the silence settled over the room, I yanked my suitcase from the closet, throwing clothes into it in a frantic rush, not caring how they landed. My heart twisted painfully, but I shoved it down. This wasn't the time for second thoughts. Once the suitcase was packed and zipped, I stood there staring at the room. It didn't feel like leaving a home. It felt like walking away from 7 years of my life. Maybe that's exactly what it was. While she was probably at some party, laughing and drinking, I was already on my way to the airport, heading for a future she would no longer be part of. I landed back home around 2 a.m., exhausted but resolute. Dropping my bag at the door, I collapsed onto the bed, staring at the blank ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come easy, but eventually the weight of everything dragged me under into a restless, uneasy slumber. The next morning, my phone buzzed incessantly on the nightstand. Half asleep, I reached for it, seeing Virginia's name flashing repeatedly on the screen. A flood of missed calls. I sighed and tossed the phone aside, letting it continue buzzing as yet another call came through. After almost an hour of relentless ringing, I finally picked it up. "Marshall, where are you?" she cried, her voice thick with panic. "Why is all your stuff gone?" "I'm home," I answered flatly. "I warned you," I continued, my voice cold and even. "Go to that party, and it's over. You chose." "What do you mean you're home?" she shouted, her voice rising in disbelief. "You just left without even telling me. I didn't know you. You made your decision, Virginia." I cut in, my tone distant. "You want to run off and act like you were single. Fine, but I'm not going to be your fool. You're making this a bigger deal than it was," she snapped, her voice breaking. "It was just one night. How can you be so heartless?" "Heartless?" I repeated, my voice sharp. "You call this heartless? You knew exactly what walking out that door meant, and you still did it." On the other end of the line, her breathing hitched, shallow and ragged. "I didn't think you'd actually leave," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I thought you'd cool off, that we could fix it." "There's nothing left to fix," I said, my voice as hard as stone. "You walked out. You ended it." I thought we could work through this," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "It was just a mistake." "No," I said, cutting her off sharply. "It wasn't a mistake, Virginia. It was a conscious choice, and now I'm making mine. It's finished." I heard her breath catch, a cry of desperation at the edge of her voice. "You're leaving me?" she choked out, tears clear in her tone. "Please, Marshall, we can fix this. It was just one mistake." "No," I said firmly. "This wasn't a mistake. This was you making a decision, and now I'm making mine. Your things will be sent to your mother's house. Don't come back here." I heard her ragged breathing, whether trying to hold back tears or summon another plea, but it didn't matter anymore. "I have nothing more to say to you," I said after a long silence. "Goodbye, Virginia." I ended the call, tossing the phone onto the couch. I leaned back, a long, exhausted breath leaving me. My heart hurt, but there was a strange calmness that followed. I had done what needed to be done. I had severed ties with something that had poisoned my life, and there was no going back. The following days blurred into a haze of paperwork and long meetings with my lawyer. Virginia bombarded me with emails and messages, each one begging for another chance, but I remained silent. My decision was made. I reached out to Virginia's mother, explained the situation, and told her that her daughter's things would be sent to her. She was stunned, disbelief heavy in her voice. "Are you absolutely certain, Marshall?" she asked. I told her everything. The argument, the betrayal, and my decision to walk away for good. "I just can't believe this," she murmured. "I never thought it would come to this. I'm so sorry." "I'm sorry, too," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "But it's over. There's no changing that." There was a long silence before she spoke again. "I just don't understand. You two always seemed so happy together." "We weren't," I said simply. The truth hurt more than I'd anticipated. "I have to take care of myself now." After hanging up, I sat down with my lawyer and began the divorce proceedings. Virginia's attorney suggested mediation, but I refused. There was nothing left to negotiate. She had made her choices, and I was making mine. The court dates came and went, each one pulling me closer to a clean break. Eventually, the divorce was finalized. I hadn't heard from Virginia since, and honestly, I wasn't sure if I ever wanted to. Life after the divorce felt strange, quiet, peaceful, and sometimes unsettling. I threw myself into parts of my life I had long ignored, though Virginia still occasionally crossed my mind. Deep down, I knew I never wanted to return to that life. One afternoon, an email from her appeared in my inbox, an apology full of regret and sorrow, but it came too late. I read the first line, then deleted it. That chapter of my life was over. I was moving forward. In time, I met someone new, someone who valued honesty and respect, things I hadn't realized I'd been missing for so long. I didn't long for the past. The divorce had been painful, yes, but it was necessary. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt free.